For 12 years, from 1950 to 1962, St. John was Archbishop of Western Europe, with his first see in Paris and then in Brussels. As such, he was also responsible for the British Isles and in particular England. During this time, he made several visits to London, and the following has been recorded of those visits. From the late Archimandrite Ambrose, pastor and learned writer on church history, reposed in 2004, recounted the following. Vladika John visited us in London. He usually visited us every year on the Dormition of the Mother of God, our patronal feast. Vladika John was an outstanding personality. Everybody loved him and revered him, but not in an idolatrous way. It was rather a profound deference to his ascetic struggles and to himself, as one who, of his own will, carried on this spiritual struggle. Vladika John routinely visited churches of other faiths, where the grace of orthodoxy might still manifest itself, especially in the form of the holy relics of saints who had been glorified before the schism. Following this practice, Vladika John expressed the intention of visiting Westminster Abbey. At one time, it may have been a holy place. In spite of the devastation wreaked by Henry VIII, the abbey had miraculously been preserved as a working church. Now, however, it no longer possesses the holiness it once had as an ancient church. Now people simply go to see it as one of London's tourist attractions. Vladika also went to see it, but after spending only a short time there, he left saying, "There is no grace here." It is true there could be found the remains of famous English figures, of the country's political founders, writers, and scholars, but not of saints. Here is yet another impression I had of Vladika John. He was coming to London by train from France, I recall. A group of clergy, the late Vladika Nikodim, Archpriest George Sheremetyev, and myself, met Vladika at the railway station. At that moment, a hunched-over old man came out of the station, wearing sandals on his bare feet, carrying a heavy icon on his chest, with clerical headwear slightly askew. Although he was not an elder, he had the appearance of one as if worn down by life's concerns. Vladika came out of the station, and an Englishman, a simple man, said, "Now that is a bishop." He had felt a tremendous spiritual strength in Vladika. The following is from the late Mother Elizabeth Ampanov, reposed in 1999, of the Convent of the Annunciation in London, recorded this. Vladika John was then Archbishop of Brussels, and Western Europe and England was under his jurisdiction. On returning from a trip to England, he decided that it was there that we should settle. We received a visa and work permit for England without delay. Through his holy prayers and fatherly concern, the first Russian Orthodox convent dedicated to the Annunciation was founded in London. On leaving the Lesna convent in France, where he had been staying, Vladika John sent us off to our own new life, saying, "You will be in a big city, but live as though you were in the desert." After many difficulties, a suitable building was found for accommodation. Having looked everything over, Vladika said to me, "The sisters are from the Holy Land. They need heat. Make sure they have it at once." Central heating was installed, but we had an unfortunate accident. A workman broke the water heater tap, and the whole kitchen and larder floor was flooded with boiling water. When Vladika discovered this on his next visit, he asked for a service book and some holy water. He read a prayer over the boiler, sprinkled it all with holy water, and prayed at length over the heater and electrical system. He asked us to hang up an icon of the Mother of God, the unburnt bush, over it. Since then, thanks to Vladika's prayers, everything has worked without a problem. Whenever he visited England, Vladika John always stayed with us at the convent. He never lay down to sleep, but rather rested, sitting in an armchair in the office next to the church. At night, we heard how he often used to go into the church. Knowing that the sisters had all been pupils in the Bethany School in the Holy Land, Vladika gave us his blessing to work with children, teaching catechism, Russian language, and singing. Once Vladika was at our convent when lessons were underway. Among our pupils were some of their English friends. We introduced the children, and they came up for a blessing. Surrounding Vladika, they did not want to leave. Vladika John was not very attractive outwardly, but even non-Orthodox felt his spiritual grace, and on leaving, the English children said, "You're so lucky to have such an archbishop." By Vladika's prayers, we worked with children for over 36 years. After visiting the church warden, Count Vladimir Klenmichael, Vladika declined to take a taxi, preferring to return to town by tube. The warden accompanied Vladika to the station. As he was leaving, the ticket agent asked him whom he was seeing off. "That was our Orthodox archbishop," replied the church warden. "I'm a Baptist," said the ticket agent, "but I can see that your archbishop is a saint." During one of Vladika's visits to our community, there was a phone call from France telling us that Archimandrite Serge had died. Vladika asked that the funeral be postponed and said that he would return to France at once. Early in the morning, we saw Vladika off to the station by taxi. The young English cabbie asked if he could have a blessing. Vladika turned around and blessed him. He then said to us, "What a wonderful, extraordinary archbishop. He has a rare inner strength." At one time, a Russian family from China were living in London. One night, the husband called me frantic with anxiety. "For God's sake, tell Vladika John that my wife Olga is in hospital, critically ill. Her blood pressure has shot up very high. The doctors fear for her life as well as the life of our unborn child." I called Versailles, hoping to find Vladika there. He answered the phone, found out all the details, and then said not to worry, that all would be well. Afterwards, he thanked me for calling him. Through his holy prayers, everything turned out fine, and a healthy girl, Catherine, has born. A friend of our community, Paraskiva Dimitriou, lay ill in a coma. At our request, Vladika John went to see her. He prayed and blessed her. That same day she got up healthy and with tears related how she had suddenly felt her illness leave her. Others told me that whenever Vladika put his hand on their heads, they had felt the power of grace and felt light in their souls. Vladika carried out the Lord's commandments with self-sacrificing love, and the Lord answered his holy prayers. It was the feast day of the Dormition of the Mother of God, the patronal feast of the London Cathedral. When Vladika returned to the convent, we fell into a discussion about the celebration of services, and he mentioned rather sorrowfully that during the vigil at the cathedral no one had sung the sticheras of the 8 tones. The nuns offered to sing them for him there and then. Vladika listened, beaming. He often served at the convent and brought us great consolation. He loved the singing of the nuns and valued a knowledge of the intricacies of the services. The feast of the protection of the Mother of God, Vladika John sent us a greeting, which we hung in our choir. On the day of St. Romanus the Melodist, crowned by the Lord for his enviable singing ability, I ask that you pass on my greetings to all the nuns and sisters who work diligently for the Church and take part in the services through their blessing. May the Lord bless them through his mercy for their diligence and hard work for the glory of Christ's holy Church. I call down the Lord's blessing on you, on all who glorify the Lord with their singing, and on the whole convent. By 1994, the Rocourt Diocese in the British Isles was in dire straits, and the convent could not find any priest in England to serve for Christmas and Pentecost. I was called on in Paris to go and serve there. In conversation with Mother Elizabeth about the English saints and St. John, then about to be canonized, I related how sad I was that I would be unable to attend his forthcoming canonization in San Francisco on account of my duties. As if in consolation, she told me the following. When Vladika John left us to go to America, he gave us the impression that we would never see him again. He told us, "I am leaving you now. I entrust you to the first martyr of England, St. Alban." Father Andrew.